a client you had who had severe arachnophobia, which is the fear of spiders.
She came to me and we did one session, and then I didn't hear from her for about a month. And then she came back and I was like, oh, like, how have you been? It's been a while. How have you been coping? And she goes, I've been able to get rid of spiders, face them, throw them out. I don't even have panic attacks anymore. Like, when I come into contact with them, I don't really understand it. Like, I'm actually in shock. And I was in shock. Even though I understand the power of hypnotherapy, to see it in action actually playing out is a whole different story. Like, this works. Also used in birthing, for pain management, gut problems, to help with digestion, constipation, people that want to stop smoking.
Hi, Lucinda, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. And you?
I'm good, thank you. I remember meeting you at the Divine Masculine and Feminine event by
Yeah.
Rumors early February. And I remember you telling me that you're a hypnotherapist and mindset coach. And I thought it'd be so, because we've all got ideas about what hypnotherapy is. So I
Mm.
thought I'd do a little episode with you, just asking a little bit about your life, because you told me a couple of cool stories as well from clients you've worked with. And about 2 weeks ago, I did your free 30-minute taster session. So you asked me a couple of questions and we did some exercises together and everything. And I meditate every single day. And I remember
Mm.
telling you at the end, in your session, I probably felt the most relaxed I've ever felt in my life, probably 10 times more than I do when I meditate. It
Mm.
was so, how do I explain it? Like, it was just so amazing. And I just, such a different experience. Your voice is so soothing. And it was really nice how you really sat there and listened to me and, let me say my thoughts and everything. And you were really, really empathetic and understanding and kind.
Thank you.
And so just to start off, can you just tell me a little bit about what you do, being a hypnotherapist and mindset coach, and the sort of misconceptions that the general public have about what hypnotherapy is?
Okay, so generally, when I mention hypnotherapy, people think of hypnotizing straight away. So it's like the swing of the clock, the people clap like a chicken, like all sorts of wild stuff, right? It's not that, it's not anything like that. It's a totally different concept, slightly similar in terms of trance, being in a trance-like state, but a whole different concept. So hypnotherapy basically teaches people using relaxation techniques to get into a more focused and more concentrated state of mind. And in that state of mind is where positive changes can be made. And that's because that state of mind is like a trance like state. So if you're able to get yourself to relax mentally, emotionally, physically, hypnotherapy is basically being able to enter into an altered state of mind where positive suggestions can be made and mostly like embedded into the subconscious mind, because you are relaxed, you are calm, and because of our everyday day-to-day basis tasks, we have work, we have family, we have friends, we have relationships, a lot of things that may cause stress or anxiety in our life or depression, and we don't know how to really like take a step back and just breathe. With the hypnotherapy, it does start with breathing techniques, relaxation techniques. And if you're able to slow down your breathing and control your breath, you are able to like slow your brain waves down. When you slow your brain waves down, you're then able to calm your mind
Yeah.
because your brain isn't so overactive. In our brains we have neurological circuits. So in our subconscious mind, everything that we've learned from young, from when we were born, is stored there. So, everything from like learning how to walk, learning how to talk, learning how to ride a bike, drive a car. And once you've learned these things, they're literally like stored in your subconscious mind. And then when you're going about your life, you're kind of like on autopilot because your body just does what it needs to do. Have you ever been driving somewhere and like you get to your destination, you're like, you don't remember the whole journey. It's just like you left the house, you were driving.
Mm.
It's because you know when to turn, you know when to go left, go right. So it's kind of like automatic responses
Yeah, you do it without thinking, don't you?
without thinking, yeah, because you're used to it, you know what to
Yeah.
do. Like when you're walking down the street, you're not thinking left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. You're literally just walking. With that, everything from our fears, our anxieties, our stresses, our traumas, that's all also learned behavior. So that's also stored in our subconscious alongside, all the normal stuff that we do on an everyday to day basis. When it comes to fears, a lot of fears are learned behaviors.
I think we
Um,
spoke about this briefly about my thing and
we
snakes. Do you
did,
remember?
yeah, we did.
I learned that
Yeah.
behavior. I was absolutely fine. And then I saw somebody really close to me being like freaking out, who was meant to be like a protector of mine. And if I see like a protector of mine being scared of it, obviously I'm going to be scared of it. So that was clearly learned behavior.
Yeah, because now it's like you believe that that is the natural response to a snake, to seeing a snake. You
Mm.
haven't seen any other response to seeing a snake. You haven't seen anyone like being ultimately calm when faced with a snake. So all you've seen is like people panicking and like, like being really scared and fearful. So you learn that, you take that in, whether you know it or not.
Does it
And
depend
so,
on the
yeah.
age? Sorry to interrupt. Because like,
Mm,
is it because I remember I was about 12 when that happened? And I'm just
mm.
trying to think, I'm like, if that happened now, maybe because I'm a bit more mature and, I don't
Right.
think I would have been as affected. Does age matter?
I would say like in earlier stages of your life, you are more like impressionable, more easily influenced because you are still learning, your brain is still developing. And so, these things sink in without you realizing. It's only like now when you're a bit older, you start to become more aware of things, aware of yourself, aware of your environment, how it affects you. Yeah, I guess it does come with age as you mature.
Why did you get into hypnotherapy? Is this something you've always been interested in? Is it something you might have been through that made you want to get into it? Because it is a
Um,
really cool job. It's really cool. I
yeah,
remember when you first told me, I was like, everybody's reaction, do you remember in the group? They're just like, wow, that's so cool.
it's a funny story. I so I studied psychology and law in university, and so when I finished uni, I wanted to go into counselling because throughout I'd say my whole sort of teenage life, leading up to like young adult life, I did go through a lot mentally. Like I had very low self-esteem. I had experienced bullying, so that didn't help either. I didn't really have any self-confidence. I had, I wasn't happy with the way I looked because all I was told, like growing up, was, you're too skinny. Why don't you eat more? Why don't you have more meat on your bones? And it's just
Mm,
like, if that's all I'm hearing, then I start to believe it because I haven't heard any different. So
mm,
I started to believe that I was abnormal because I didn't look like everyone else. And
mm.
so I dealt with a lot of like anxiety and I went through depression just through like certain things that I went through in my life. At uni, I experienced quite intense traumas whilst also studying. I didn't want to study law, so I wanted to study just psychology, but I really wanted to go to that university. So in order to do that, I had to study law with psychology. So
Mm.
balancing that and my mental health was so hard. Like I'm studying something every day that I just have no interest in, no passion for. But at the same time, I'm studying something that I do have passion for. So it was a bit,
Conflicting.
yeah, very conflicting, especially with the law being like majority
Right.
of my course. And so, yeah, I experienced some crazy traumas at uni to a point where, like, I had failed my second year, had to redo my second year, and basically, instead of being at uni for 3 years, I was there for 4 years.
Mm,
So, in my last year, it got really hard, and it was literally the last leap and then I get to graduate. I get to move forward, move on with my life. And so at that point, I was like at breaking point. I couldn't, I couldn't study well. I couldn't concentrate. I was procrastinating. I was like indulging in bad habits. I wasn't eating well, I wasn't taking care of myself. And it's just like, okay, if I fail this year again, I'm absolutely done for. So at that point, I was just like, I need help. Um, I did seek help through my GP. They didn't actually refer me to a counselor first. They rather wanted me to go on antidepressants. And at that point, I was like, mm, I don't know about that. I don't know how I feel about that. Even though I am in a very like deep depressed state, I don't know if I'm willing to go that far. And so I seeked other options. And that's when I found that the school had free counseling. I took like a few sessions and it literally like changed my life. Like that was the
Oh.
changing point in my life where I was like, oh my gosh, like even up until that point, I didn't really know what I wanted to do after uni, but this was just like an eye opener. And it showed me that no matter how bad it can get, like mentally, emotionally, physically, like you can turn things around. You just need the right guidance to do that.
Mm.
So that's what inspired me to go into counseling. So I actually signed up for a diploma course after uni, thinking that my first module was counseling, like just
Mm.
normal counseling therapy skills. And it wasn't, it was hypnotherapy. So I was
Oh.
like, okay, firstly, it's my fault because I didn't read the syllabus. I did not read the syllabus. Had already paid for the course. I had to go in and just like get it done with because it was actually counseling skills that was my second module. So my second year, sorry, rather than module. So hypnotherapy was the whole year. And then it would be counseling. So I was like, oh my God, like what did I just get myself into? So I'm panicking. I'm like, oof, I don't know what this is, hypnotherapy, like hypnotizing people, like what is it? So I thought, you know what, let me just keep an open mind. Let me go into it and see what it is first. And then we can go from there. Went into my first class and they did the introduction. They did the same like taster session that I did with you in our first taster session. And I was like, it's nothing like I thought it would be. It's everything to do with being able to take control of your mind, of your fears, of your negative thoughts, because the negative thoughts, they are basically cycles. Like we've got all these learned thought patterns, these learned negative thought cycles in our subconscious that we just run on autopilot. So, you know, the reason why we think the same for years and years and years is because that's just what we know.
Mm.
We don't know anything other than that. And so it really was a big eye opener and like the way it changed my life. I wanted to do that for others. And that's why I stuck to it and I got into hypnotherapy.
That's beautiful. Oh my God, I was fully like crying in the middle. Then you made me laugh a little bit. So I was like, thank God. Good. Oh, bless you. That's so beautiful. Do you feel like, I mean, even when you signed up to the course, that was probably the universe telling you hypnotherapy, like this is for you. Like,
Right, right.
and you, so
Um,
the entire year was about hypnotherapy. So you went in it to quite a depth, I'd say.
yeah, yeah. The whole year. So we looked at different areas of it. We looked at how it could be used as pain management. So people that are scared of getting injections, going to the dentist, there's a fear that comes with that. And the more
Mm.
fearful you are, the more weaker your body would become, let's say, because you're not equipping yourself with a relaxed state of mind, going into
Mm.
it with a relaxed state. When you are fearful, when you are thinking negatively, it does actually affect your immune system and it affects how your body receives pain. And so the more controlled you are over your thoughts, the more you're able to learn how to use these relaxation techniques that hypnotherapy teaches to reinforce calmness, reinforce relaxation. It then translates into your body.
It's crazy how much your mental health affects your physical health and vice versa. People don't
Right,
understand. It's
right.
crazy. And
It
also,
is,
I'm really sorry you had to go through all of that. But
yeah,
you've made it out. You're so strong, and you're literally doing so incredible. Just everything, but your
thank you.
aura, the work you're doing is just it's all beautiful. So
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Appreciate that.
I remember when we met up in early February, you were saying about, you just briefly mentioned that there was a client you had who had severe arachnophobia, which is the fear of spiders. And by the end of, sessions with you, he could easily hold spiders, look at them, was absolutely fine around them. So tell me a little bit about that. And then also, do you have any other more memorable clients and sort of examples of people you've worked with?
Mm. Okay, so with the arachnophobia, it's actually crazy because as much as I'm out here helping people, they're actually in turn helping me too. Because
Oh,
um, believe it or not, I used to have an arachnophobia.
right.
And so to help someone get over that, it's like, okay, this is a challenge for me.
I see. Did that actually help you in the process as well?
It
Oh
did.
my gosh.
It did because as I'm going through that process with my clients, I'm also learning as well. And it's relaxing me as much as it's relaxing them, even though I'm helping them. Seeing the change and the transformation and the receptiveness from it, it does reflect back to me. It just shows that it does work. I mean, I do still have my moments, but I'm so much better than I used to be before. Like I would see a small one and just totally freak out. Like, and so this client that I had, she had a really bad traumatic experience when she was younger. She was in a classroom. I think she was just like, she was quite young, primary schoolish. And she had seen one like crawling on her shoulder, and it was quite a big spider, like the dark, hairy type of ones. And so
Disgusting.
I know, right? This is horrific. Basically, from that day, anytime she sees one, she has panic attacks, high anxiety. When it comes to fight or flight, she flies. She doesn't want to be anywhere near it, or she either freezes. And so she just could not face going through that. And so she had moved into a new house. Um, Furniture hadn't been like completely put in, and so she had to like sleep on a mattress on the floor. So she was encountering quite a few like interactions with spiders, like being around the property. And that's when she came to me and we did one session. And how the sessions go is that we start off with the relaxation techniques. I teach how to do that first, and then we go into the depth of it. So the relaxation takes you into that state of calmness and relaxation, whereby your focus and your concentration is heightened. And so you can focus on what you want to achieve a lot better than when you're just like consciously talking about it, like me and you right now.
Mm.
And so it takes you into a headspace where, okay, we can actually access the subconscious mind now because we've relaxed the conscious mind to a point where, okay, that barrier between the conscious and the subconscious is now fading away because you are calmer, you are relaxed. That border, that wall that is put up is no longer there now. So it's easier to like take in new suggestions and new ways of thinking. And so we did that in one session. And then I didn't hear from her for about a month. And then she came back and I was like, oh, like how have you been? It's been a while. How have you been coping? And she goes, I just can't believe like I've been able to get rid of spiders,
Mm.
face them like on my own, throw them out, and like not have I don't even have panic attacks anymore. Like I'm just so calm when I come into contact with them, and I don't really understand it. Like I'm actually in shock, and I was in shock. Me too. I
Wow.
was in shock because even though I understand the power of hypnotherapy, to see it in action actually playing out is a whole different story. Like I believe it, but seeing it is like, whoa, okay. this works? How can we now take this to the next level to help other people with so many other things? And so it's actually also used in birthing, so people that are giving birth. For pain management, it can be used for people that are having gut problems, to help with digestion, constipation, that sort of thing. It helps with like phobias, people that want to stop smoking. I'm yet to work with more people that do want to stop smoking. I am still doing those now. What else? There's so many different areas. Anxiety, depression,
Like
stress.
any other like bad, I mean, you said smoking, but bad habits. Like one of my friends, she was like, I told her I'm talking to you today, and she said, basically, I have a really bad, habit of biting my nails or like picking the skin around her fingers. She's like, can she
Yeah,
help me with that? I was
yeah,
like, yeah, she,
yeah,
yeah.
that too. Yeah, yeah. I used to have that bad habit myself growing up.
Me too.
I didn't necessarily know why, but I had to like do the meditation and get myself to that place and look within myself to figure out, okay, why do I do this?
Mm.
What are the thoughts and feelings that drive me to do this? Because like nail biters, they're doing it without thinking. It's just an automatic thing. Like they'll be biting their nails, and before they know it, like they've bitten so much now that their fingers are sore. Like
Mm.
what is driving them to get to that point that they don't even realize this is how far they've gone. The hypnotherapy really does help kind of explore the subconscious. It helps explore it so that you can find the root cause of why this is happening. And once we found that, we can then reprogram the wiring, the thought processes around that. Because, like I said, and I keep repeating, your focus is heightened, your concentration is heightened, you're really focusing on the change. You're really like, we don't focus on what's wrong. And like we talk about that in your consultation. And after that, that's that. From there, we move forward. Okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to think about it right now. This is the new perspective. And so that's how I help them move forward, by helping them rewire.
It's like the power of the mind, isn't it?
Very strong.
It's crazy. Working with all of these clients and everything, that must be so rewarding and fulfilling. What else would you say is probably, your favorite parts about your job?
Oh, it's definitely seeing the reactions,
Yeah.
like even just from the taster session, like they wouldn't have even done the full 1 hour where we are doing the relaxation plus the deepening plus the exploring and then the embodying. Like it's literally just the tip of the iceberg. That when I do that with new clients, they're like, oh my God, I'd like I've never felt this relaxed before. Like I
Yeah.
have felt relaxed before, but this is like a different level.
Yeah, that was
And
literally me. That was literally me
yeah,
from our session.
and I've had like clients come into the session like feeling tension in their neck, their shoulders, just feeling all tense. But by the end of it, like their shoulders have completely relaxed. There's no tension in their necks. Like they're just in a completely different space because their mind led them there. So you start with your mind and then the body follows. So it's like, how people kind of wait to experience things before they experience things. So what I mean by that is, let's take relationships, for example. People Some people want to feel loved by someone else before they start loving themselves first, because that's what they believe, how it's supposed to work, how love is supposed to work. But really, it's meant to start from you, and then the right type of relationship, the right type of love will find you. Whereas if you let it find you first, before you start to feel the love within yourself, that's where a lot of people go wrong. Because then when, say for example, God forbid, it crumbles and everything goes wrong, your whole self-worth goes with it, because you didn't feel that before you entered into it. So it's that idea of feeling it before you've even gotten there.
Yeah.
Same with when you're trying to make positive changes in your life. You want to do better, you want to be your better self, you see yourself doing certain things. People wait till they get there, till they've achieved it before they start to feel the gratitude and of it, and feel the strength and the power and the empowerment of it. But you have to feel empowered, you have to feel strong, you have to feel loved, and gratitude before you even get there.
I think we were talking about this in our last session where we were like, we do think that it's important to love yourself before you love somebody else. Just because you
Absolutely.
can come to that relationship with, the most healthy mindset.
Yeah, because you
But
put
yeah.
your all into that and you didn't have anything there to begin with. So what you're giving is actually, let's say like you've got zero here. If you're giving yourself love, you love yourself, you're putting in the work, you're working on yourself, it's just going up and up and up. And
Mm,
then when you meet someone that you can see they're also putting in the work to be better and do better, you're both going up together.
yeah.
And even if things do crumble, it might drop a few levels down, but you're still above zero. Whereas where, maybe you aren't addressing your insecurities, you're not working on, changing certain habits and things, you're not as self-aware
Mm.
of yourself as you should be. Let's say you're starting at zero. Now you get into a relationship, they're giving you love, they're giving you love, and then something goes wrong. Literally, it goes below zero, it goes below
Yeah.
zero, below, and it just keeps going lower and lower. And it's because you didn't start up here to begin with.
Mm.
It's that idea of making sure that your own cup is full before you give. Because even if you're giving, and your cup is full, yeah, you might deplete a little bit, but not to a point where you're back to zero.
I
Yeah.
remember we were talking about that. Both of us are still working. We're trying to fill our cup first before helping others because we're both very. I think we go out of the way for people a lot.
So it is like really important that you are giving to yourself first before you give to others. It's like when you're on an aircraft and they say, put your own mask on first when something before you help the next person.
Mm.
Because if you don't have it in you, how can you give it to the other person? Uh,
Mm.
and so, it really does make sense because I've been in relationships where I was giving. I wasn't filling my own cup. So I was basically giving from an empty cup. And then when it was wrong, I was like, oh my, like my whole world has crumbled. It feels that way, but really and truly, if I had kept on working on myself, kept loving myself first before giving, then I wouldn't have felt like my whole world is crumbled and everything's over and I'll never find love again.
Yeah, I mean, adding on to that, being a hypnotherapist and mindset coach, like you're working with a lot of people with trauma. How do you protect your mental health when doing that? Like, because you're such a, caring person, you do this work all the time.
Mm,
When and how do you make sure that you protect your mental health first? Like you said, fill your own cup before you can help your clients.
yeah. So I do exactly that. I make sure that I'm doing at least one or two things every day that are filling my cup and that just genuinely make me happy. Like I know that if I do this one thing, I'm good for the day. Like literally coming home from work, I could have the most stressful day. But as soon as I come home, I light my scented candles. It activates my senses, my sight, my smell. And so when I do try to meditate, all of this is incorporated. I'm smelling the loveliness of it, and I'm meditating on how I want to feel right now. And
Mm.
so it kind of ties in and becomes like this beautiful feeling of comfort, or even just lighting incense. Like I love the smell of lavender incense. So just like it could be one little thing that just makes you happy. I'm just making sure I do that every single day. And then when it does come to clients, I just separate that, like that time is just for them. It's all about them. in the interest of them. And so, yeah, just I kind of disconnect from all of that.
That's so nice. Yeah, talk to me about Source of Light. You're the founder, aren't you?
I am,
So how
yes.
did you start that? The Instagram is beautiful, by the way. It's like
Thank
so
you.
aesthetically pleasing, it's stunning. But yeah, talk to me about Source of Light, how you started it, when you started it, and sort of, keeping up to date with the social media aspect of that, as well as, running the business.
Yeah. So after like encountering counseling and seeing what it did for people, I then wanted to do that for others. So going through like my year of hypnotherapy, studying, I was like, okay, I want to have my own practice. Like that's the dream now. And so I started to work on the logo, I started to work on the name. I was like, the name, like it needs to have a meaning behind it. It needs to mean something to me as well as mean something to the people. And so my name Lucinda actually means light. And so I
Oh.
incorporate that in the name. So that's how I came up with source of light. So it's a source that people can come to find light, to find love, to find peace and calm and relaxation and just a safe space. That's exactly what it stands for. And when I started off, I started doing like work with volunteers, which was part of my course. I had to do about 50 hours volunteer work. That's where I started working with people and practicing my skills, and it was just up from there. The thing is, with my socials and my website, like it's also a work in progress, and I think it will forever will be.
Hmm.
It forever will be, sorry. Like just with anything in life, like I'm so much better than I used to be as a person. Like I'm two totally different people from my adolescence, my teenagers to now. Like even my friends see it, my family see it. But like I see it too. However, I just see this as like a forever continuing journey of improving and growing and evolving. Like it just never stops. So as much as I could say like, yeah, it's all successful, it's great right now, it's okay.
I think it's
And
great.
it's
I
okay.
think it's amazing.
Oh,
Back yourself, back yourself.
no, I think I've come a long way, definitely.
Yeah.
But I just always believe there can always be that little bit more of improvement, like every day. And it is a process, and I do have
Mm.
to be patient, and you know, it is a slow process, but I'm okay with that. Like I'm I have to sort of enjoy the process and view patience in a different light, not a light of, okay, I have to be patient. Oh, how long do I have to wait? Oh, when am I going to break through? When am I going to be like top successful?
Mm.
I can't think about it in that way. I have to see it in a way of like, okay, I have to be patient. Okay, today didn't like not much happened today. That's okay. Not much happened in the next month. That's okay. It's been a few months. Nothing has happened. That's still okay because at some point, like it will happen. And I know I'm taking like tiny steps towards it. And it is growing bit by
Mm.
bit. Literally the people think that they have to take enormous steps to to get there and to feel, you know, like yeah, I've done it. And I will always forever sing this from the top of the mountains, like the littlest, the most tiniest steps, celebrate those as well,
Mm.
because that's all part of the journey.
100%. Have you read Atomic Habits?
I haven't, but I have
You're
seen it around.
basically saying, like, in his thing, he was basically saying, even if you just do 1% better every single day, the teeniest, tiniest amount, by the end of the year, you'll be about 38% better than before. So it doesn't matter about, like you said, the size. It's just about consistency. And like you said, talking nice to yourself. Do you remember when we first met as well? With the whole talking nice to yourself thing, we were talking about, things we've been through in the past.
Yeah,
And I was saying how I was so angry with myself for, acting a certain way or putting up with something or whatever it is. And you said you experienced something similar, but you
Yeah.
said that you've forgiven your younger self. And you're like, don't be angry at her, Garima. Like, forgive your younger self. You know, she's so much stronger now. You've been working on yourself. And like you said, appreciate the journey and the process and the woman you're becoming. And that really stuck out with me. I think I told you that in the last session as well. I've been telling my
Yeah.
friends that you've been saying that because they know how angry I am about my past or whatever, towards myself. And so it's really been, you know, I'm a positive person. I talk nicely to myself all the
Yeah.
time, always. But I think to my younger self, sometimes I don't. And that really, really stuck with me. I think it's so important for people to understand. Yes, everyone makes mistakes in the past. Everyone has, you know, disrespected themselves in a way or whatever it is, like any sort of thing people have been through. It's so important to talk nicely to your younger self always. Not just the
Yeah.
one you are now, but in the past as well. Forgive her, you know, nurture her. You know how they always say it's about healing your inner child. You wouldn't talk
Yeah.
to your, if you look at a photo of yourself from when you were 6 years old, you would never talk to her like that. You know what I mean? So why would you talk to yourself from last year like that? It's still the same girl.
Exactly. Yeah. Forgiveness is the foundation of it. That's where it all starts because the moment you forgive yourself for the mistakes you made and the decisions you made and the people that you let hurt you and all these things, the moment you forgive yourself wholeheartedly, like really and truly, that's when the healing really starts.
Mm.
A lot of the time when we're trying to move forward and our trauma is kind of like holding us back, it's because those automatic responses are there and we are going to react in the same way if we do not address those traumas. And so that's why we have a lot of people like going into relationships with like serious insecurities, bringing it into their new relationship. And it's like, if you're bringing your past into it, you know, it's basically set up to fail
Mm.
because we do all have baggage, yes, but are we letting that baggage define who we are, or is it just part of who we are?
Because I think everything heightens in relationships. All the little problems or the little things you bring into the relationship, it heightens because you've got another person there.
One thing as well that I would say is just very important is like, for someone that does want to do better and be that better self, you have to let go of the past, the feelings of the past, because our thoughts are connected to how we feel, and how we feel is how we behave. And so the moment you start thinking in the same way that you did when that trauma happened, you're living in the past, in the present moment.
Mm.
But you're in the present moment. Why are you living in the past? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're holding, I mean, some do it, a lot of people do it like subconsciously. They don't realize how much it has a hold over them, but that is the idea that the moment you start thinking that way, you're going to start feeling that way subconsciously because if that feeling is attached to that thought. And so that's where the power of the hypnotherapy comes from, because we're now focusing on new thought patterns, new ways of thinking, and we're attaching it to how we want to feel,
Mm.
which is relaxed and calm, and we want to feel gratitude and we want to feel love, and like all the good stuff. And so when we start when we start concentrating on that, like moving forward and practicing that every day, that's when it starts to sink in and really embed and become us. It's
Mm.
like when they say, fake it till you make it. It's literally that. Like,
Yeah.
practice it until you become it. And so that's why when I'm working with people, it's more, okay, I've heard the presenting issue. Now we're just going forward from here.
Mm. For somebody who has, you know, baggage or extra or some sort of trauma that they've been through in the past, obviously you said first step is to forgive yourself. You know, it's not your fault, you know, you didn't know better, whatever this situation is. After that, what would you say are the next steps for somebody who truly wants to heal, who truly wants to move forward, like you say?
So I would say the next step is learning how to visualize.
Okay.
This is a very important tool that I use in hypnotherapy because when you're able to visualize something like truly in your mind, in your mind's eye, it's easier to see. So if you can see it, then you know that it is possible.
Mm.
But then you have to put in the work to make it possible, to keep that going.
Mm.
And so after the relaxation and teaching how to get into that meditative state, then comes the visualization. That's when you're really going to see like the power of it because it really is powerful. I mean, I've had people that have like tried to deal with different traumas from like losing a loved one, that side of like traumatic experiences where they've lost like someone close to them, and they really like struggled to come to terms with it. I think they had, quite a close relationship with their father. But there were other things that they hadn't addressed, in terms of like losing their father. Maybe, they didn't have certain conversations and stuff like that. And so it was hard for them to forgive themselves. And so I did go through teaching them the relaxation, the meditation, and then I went through teaching them how to visualize, and practice visualization to whereby, okay, like even just picturing a house, right? You picture a house, you close your eyes, you picture a house, and in that house is different rooms, and these different rooms hold different traumas. So I took her step by step through each room. I told her to, one by one pick up um, each memory, each, you know, thing that represented pain or struggle, and just like put it in a black bin. And I
Mm.
told her I took her through the house, each room. She did that, she did that. And then by the end of it, got her to walk outside with that bag and literally just throw it away, and just throw it away into like a sea. Like say there was a sea by the shore, um, near that house. Told her to walk up to the sea and throw that bag into the ocean and just watch it drift away, like drift further, 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 and further away. And that would have contained the memories, the feelings, the thoughts that came with all those painful memories. And so visualizing it disconnecting from you slowly, that holds so much power. But you won't realize it until you're doing it.
Mm.
Because I had her come out of that and not only forgive herself and feel at peace and feel calm with, you know what, like that doesn't define me. Like I'm clearing my house. I'm, redoing it. I'm revisualizing it in the way that, filling it with good memories and filling it with good thoughts and good things. And it then had a knock-on effect because now that she had addressed that root cause, that the root of her trauma, she was now drinking less. She was now smoking less. She now had more gratitude. She was practicing her affirmations every day, and it just went up from there, up from there. And so, yeah, it is really powerful
That's
visualization.
beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, the other question I literally had was, what have clients said about what you do? But I think you already answered that pretty much. Oh, oh no, she's gone. She's gone. I'll get her back. Any like final words you have before we wrap up?
Yeah, so I just genuinely believe that like everyone has inner strengths that they don't know that they have. Literally, it's your superpower. Being able to activate that power within you. A lot of people have that, but just don't know how to bring it out of them. The
Mm.
same I didn't know how to bring it out of me until I had the right guidance. Same way as you, like you've done so much work on yourself, and I could see that like you are doing so well and you are becoming just beautiful inside and out. I mean, you are anyway,
Thank
but
you.
I you are putting in the work and you are doing what like needs to be to bring that out of you. Like you're activating that goddess within you, and it's amazing to see that you are like bringing that inner strength out. And for anyone who is struggling with anything from anxiety to depression to like fears and bad habits and just wanting to be better overall, a better person overall, dealing with traumas as well. I'm just here to say that I've been there, and I've been to a point where yeah, it does feel like that's it and that's the end, and just life is just gets worse. But I'm here to say that it does get better, and it will get better, with the right people around you and with the right guidance as well. That I think that's so important.
You are honestly one of the most beautiful people I've ever met, inside and out. Honestly. No, I'm actually gonna cry.
Oh, thank you.
No, honestly, I think what you're doing is so beautiful, so beautiful. And I think, yeah, that I really wanted to ask you that one question about how you protect yourself. And it makes me so happy you do that as well. And I just want to say that back to you. You are so beautiful inside out. I remember I kept telling you about how much I love your aura. It's such a beautiful, refreshing aura. And obviously, you're stunning visually as well and inside.
Thank
But
you.
inside, I think you've been doing so much inner work as well, like things you've been telling me you've been through, obviously, on here and then also outside of the podcast episode. And you're just doing absolutely amazingly, and you're an inspiration. So I just want to say thank you so much for your time, honestly.
Anytime, anytime. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
I really mean it, honestly. But I will link absolutely, everything in the description, whether that's your website, Source of Life Instagram. I know you've got a couple of meditations on YouTube as well. I'll link
Yeah,
those. And just to finish off, I wanted to just say I will also link, where people can sort of book a free 30-minute taster session with you. So do you want to tell me a little bit about that? And if people want to book that, what does that sort of
mm.
entail? Because I did that and I thought it was incredible. I loved it.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So that's just like it's purely a relaxation taster. So it's the tip of the iceberg of what work I do with my clients overall. Um, it's the tip, I'd say it's the tip of the iceberg, but it's the center of the work that we do. Without those relaxation techniques, without learning how to get into that meditative state in the first place, the rest of the work won't be as effective. And so I think the beauty of it is just showing people that it is possible, because I mean everyone that I've encountered, that I've spoken to about hypnotherapy, they've never tried it before. And when
Mm.
they do, like, wow, like you can really feel like this. And I'm like, yeah, you can. I know it's shocking, but you can. And so yeah, it's just purely a relaxation taster where I take you through relaxation techniques, breathing exercises. And yeah, it's about 10-15 minutes max. And yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I think everybody listening to this, please book it because it's just incredible just how relaxed you feel by the end. And Lucinda is so understanding and you really listen. Like I remember there were a lot of, you just ask the question, you just let the person talk for as long as they want, and you genuinely listen. You can see that you listen and you genuinely care and want to help people. It's completely authentic. And I think, yeah, just everyone who's listening, please book it because it's just incredible. But yeah, thank you so much for your time, Lucinda. This has been such a lovely episode.
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing.
Oh. And to everyone listening, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Oh, that was so lovely.